Lemonade. Y'all know there's going to be a bunch of videos people are going to post about this, and that's fine. You know, everybody's allowed to put their opinion out there. So here's mine. Here's my 2 cents. I've watched Lemonade now, I think 4 or 5 times. And it is definitely the type of film album that you have to watch it in order. You have to watch it from start to finish. And you have to absolutely pay attention to words and the imagery, not just the songs, but the poetry as well. It all brings the story together. And as much as everyone's going on and on about how, Beyonce broke up with Jay-Z, or they're filing for divorce, or she's not with him, she's leaving him, you clearly didn't watch the whole thing. Because Lemonade isn't about breaking up with your man. It's not about divorce. It's not actually about the infidelity. Whether or not you think she's actually talking about her life or not, it doesn't matter. The point of it is it's showing the entire process of what women, specifically Black women, go through in our relationships, whether it's our significant others, our husbands, our family relationships. She hints to the relationship of a daughter and her father. She hints to viewing the relationship of child to parents. She talks about, of course, you know, when you're worrying about if your significant other is cheating. She talks about the denial of trying to explain it away, even though your gut is telling you one thing, and you're trying to put on this happy face as if you're okay, and at the same time feeling incredibly out of control on the inside. It speaks to a very emotional core within every woman. It has a lot of tribal and African symbolism all throughout it. And if you don't know it, please do, you know, research it. For people to simplify it and take away the artistry and say, oh, it's just a marketing scheme, her and Jay are just, you know, getting y'all's money. They're entertainers. That's their business, is to produce a work of art that's going to sell. Why is it so hard to believe that they both could have came together and said, let's tell a story through imagery that people can relate to? Why not? And whether or not she's actually plucking from her life, I don't see why anyone would think that Jay wouldn't cheat on her. What famous dude at this point, especially in that category, hasn't stepped out on his wife? I mean, let's go ahead and name a couple. Gabrielle Union stayed with Dwayne Wade, and he had a baby on her. She stayed with him. Is that so shocking? It's like we can't believe it happened. Kobe's wife stayed with him. All through the accusations. They got married, they all happy, made it work. It's not unheard of. And, you know, I don't see why people are like, oh, you know, he didn't cheat on her. I don't know too many instances where your own family is willing to assault your significant other if it didn't have anything to do with infidelity. That's just deductive reasoning, y'all. But be that as it may, that is not the point of it. Their relationship is not the point of it. The point of it is how you go through these stages of grief in relationships, of self-reflection, of accountability. She's showing and portraying how we wish to be able to convey all those emotions at once in a medium in which it's very easy to understand as a woman, at least to me. And I sat there and I listened to it and I was like, oh my gosh, I know what that feels like. And it didn't matter whether she was talking about herself or not. She could have got all of that inspiration from conversations with her girlfriends, from family, from other people. It doesn't matter. The point was made that you can go through these relationships, you can go through these aspects of your life, you can have these moments, and you can still come out the other end. If life gives you lemons, you can make lemonade. That is why the album is called Lemonade. The hurt and the pain and the joy and the happiness that goes all within life and our relationships, it didn't matter what kind of relationship it was. All aspects of this you could relate to. If people could get out of their own way, stop trying to dismiss it, stop trying to simplify it, stop trying to take away the effort and the emotion and the inspiration that the film does convey. It's only an hour long. But if all you're going to do is hop on the bandwagon of gossip on the first 3 songs, and that's all you got from it, I'm sorry, you missed the whole point. Because by the last 3 songs, she showed how she had to deal with all the anger and rage and finally subside and subdue it. Let Jay come back into her life in a way that she had to be like, basically, okay, I'm done grieving what happened with this. If we're going to make this work, let's make this work. Let's build this family together. Let's continue this business together. Let's stay together. All too often in relationships, especially if the man steps out, or even if the woman steps out, well, not so much the woman. If the man steps out in a relationship, the women are always so very forgiving and ready to make it work. But when that happens, and I'm going to speak from my own personal experience, when that happens, all too often the guy thinks, I apologize, let's just move on with our lives. And we're not really given, as women, we're not given the opportunity to really go through the stages of grief. Even though we've said, okay, I want to make it work, we haven't still had the chance to really let all the emotions flow with it, be able to get past it, let him be accountable, which all too often doesn't happen, and actually come together to make the changes to try and make a relationship work, which is why usually it doesn't work. Men brush it off, very much how they're brushing off this album and trying to make it seem like, oh, it was just some marketing ploy. Marketing's involved because you're going to sell records because it's a business. I don't see why this is so hard. But if you can't take the time to appreciate the artistry that was put into it, if all you want to see is, oh, her and Jay just got y'all's money, if that's all you want to get from it, I'm sorry, but you missed out on a great thing. If we can sit there and watch Kendrick Lamar's Grammy performance and see it for the artistic expression as well as the political expression and the emotional expression that was laden all throughout of it, and we don't simplify it, why can't we do the same thing with what Beyonce put out? Because she's Beyonce? It's just a disappointment. Guys, it's not a man bash album. It really doesn't. It actually showcases a very softer side of a man who's able to step up and make his relationship work. The underlying part that a lot of people miss is how Jay does come into the album, into the songs, into the content, and he shows his strength as a husband, taking responsibility, taking accountability, helping with the healing process. Y'all don't think that wasn't important? That was just as important. The album is more about womanhood and emotional affirmation than anything else. And I don't see how that's a bad thing.